Former President Obama is calling out woke culture. Here's what he said during a panel at a summit hosted by his foundation in Chicago.
This idea of purity and you're never compromised and you're always politically woke and all that stuff, you should get over that quickly. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was? I called you out. You know, that's not activism. That's not bringing about change.
I'm joined by Jim Messina, President Obama's White House Deputy Chief of Staff and campaign manager for his 2012 re-election bid. It's great to have you on, Jim. We've wanted to have you for a while. This is not necessarily a new message for President Obama, but he doesn't speak very often in public. Do you think that he's concerned about where things are going in terms of civil discourse, or even possibly the Democrats moving way too far to the left?
Well, look, you have it right. He's been saying these things for a very long time. But he is looking at all this and doing what Ronald Reagan did during his time, which is saying to his own party, hey, let's not have a circular firing squad. Let's not spend all of our time going after each other. You know, Dana, one of the first debates was everyone hammering on Barack Obama, who's the most popular Democrat of his lifetime, which was not helpful. And so I think what the president's gently doing in his very eloquent way is saying, let's stay focused on Donald Trump. All presidential re-election campaigns are always a referendum on the incumbent. And let's have that discussion, not some silly woke debate.
It's hard to do when you're in a primary with 20-odd candidates. They're going to have to go after each other a little bit. But your front runner is the former Vice President Joe Biden. He was on 60 Minutes over the weekend talking about Obama and his endorsement.
Some have asked, why hasn't President Obama endorsed you? You guys served together for 8 years.
Because I want to earn this on my own.
Did he offer to endorse you?
No, we didn't even get there. I asked him not to. He said, okay. I think it's better. I think he thinks it's better for me. I have no doubt when I'm the nominee, he'll be out in the campaign trail for me.
Now, I have my own thinking as to why President Obama hasn't made an endorsement. I think he has got one chance to be a kingmaker or a peacemaker. He doesn't want to get involved in it. But there are people who are skeptical of things that President Obama doesn't want Vice President Biden to run or to win, or things that he can't win. What is your thinking on that?
Look, President Obama came through the toughest presidential primary in 2007 and 2008 ever, right? We went to all 50 states, and we came out of that primary having campaigned all across the country. We went through the Reverend Wright stuff. We went through all the tough stuff that we had to, and went into a general election ready for John McCain. And I think Barack Obama correctly believes that, you know, whoever our nominee is has to go through this fire. And Danny, you're right. We have 20-some candidates. We're going to go through a very difficult and very strenuous process. And whoever the nominee will be much stronger because of it. And Barack Obama getting involved isn't a good thing at this juncture.
Do you think that anybody that's in the second tier right now, sort of tier B, do they still have a chance to break through, or is that window closing pretty quickly?
I still believe they do, and I think two things. One, I'm not sure that the field is fully closed. I think you could see a late entrant in this field.
Come on, give us a taste.
I think there's a lot of people talking to Michael Bloomberg again, right? Okay. And I think there's other people out there.
Hillary Clinton?
And I think if you look at... no, I don't think that is going to happen. But I think if you look at the second tier, there's people on that list who have a lot of money and a really good case here, like Kamala Harris, like Mayor Pete, who aren't in the top four, but definitely could be. And you and I are old enough to remember that, you know, in 2004, when President Bush was running for election, John Kerry right now was sitting in 5th place in Iowa, and he ended up winning it. And so this is going to be a late-breaking primary. There's going to be lots of people who are with some of these other candidates who are going to wake up and say two things, Dana. Who can beat Donald Trump and who excites me? And we're just not there yet.
One last question. With the grassroots fundraising and Act Blue, for example, if you could raise money like that, what's the incentive ever to get out? Like, how do you actually narrow the field before Iowa, or do you need to?
I don't think you need to, and I don't think you're going to either. You know, there's a couple of people on this list, like Bernie Sanders and Mayor Pete, who are going to have all the money they need to go for a very long time. And so I think you're going to see people stay in this race for a very long time.
Wow. Well, you're out in California. You take care of yourself out there as well. Jim Messina, we hope to have you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, suing the Trump administration. The family of the teenager who died in a crash involving a diplomat's wife is now taking legal action. I will speak to the victim's stepsister up next. But first, let's take a look at what's coming up in the next hour with Chris Wallace, who you're just like right there, Chris. I could almost like reach out and say hi. What's coming up in the next hour?
Good to be in New York with you, Dana. Thank you. We're tracking two big stories on Capitol Hill and one out west. In Washington, the House Rules Committee set to debate the ground rules for the impeachment inquiry, and all of Congress getting briefed on the raid that took down ISIS leader al-Baghdadi. Also, the latest on the flames now threatening the Reagan Presidential Library. I'll talk live with the executive director of the Presidential Foundation, who was on the site there. That and the rest of the day's news coming up. Dana Perino has more on the Daily Briefing next.